Like, bro, she got a kid. Look at his back. Oh my god. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another reaction. Today we're going to react to the second part of that Gothics video we reacting to, or Black people ready to talk about race hustlers. Very interesting. A lot of stuff she had to say in the last video.
Yeah, honestly, it's just a lot of things like Black people need to hear. Yeah,
especially. I don't think like this kid pushing this victim mentality as if like we don't have the capability to pull ourselves up and actually do something. I don't know, but like I said, a lot of the stuff she was saying is very interesting. It's just a lot of things that Black people really need to hear, pay attention to. Let us know down in the comments. Let us know if you want to see us react to more of our stuff. But we finna hop right into this. Let's go.
Race hustling has been a thing for years, and this topic always gets deflected as anti-Black rhetoric, which, I get it. If the entirety of someone's livelihood was built off of exploiting another person's trauma, I can understand the unwillingness of wanting to address the problem. But, like I said, the hesitation to keep that same energy is obvious when we compare the reaction to race-baited news versus news that doesn't emphasize race. This may not seem like a problem to you, but let's consider what happened during last year's peaceful protests. I'm gonna trademark that. It seemed like every week a new case of racial injustice would pop up, shortly followed by peaceful protests. As I said earlier, when the media race baits their news coverage, I find it to be an intentional attempt to incite some type of an emotional response from the public. But realistically, breaking news is breaking news. So why would a viewer at home believe that they have all the answers to justify a protest, knowing that a formal investigation wasn't completed? This was especially true in the case of Jacob Blake, where peaceful protests followed in a matter of hours. Flash forward a few months later, and Jacob's on national television taking personal responsibility for his decisions that day. And if you consider the details surrounding some of the other cases tied to BLM's peaceful protests, you'll find a pattern. Bad choices. Bad personal choices. And although it's easy to blame those choices on the white man system, I believe that true anti-Blackness comes from excusing bad behavior and encouraging Black people to avoid self-reflection, which keeps the cycle going. If you're bad at your job, you'd expect your boss to give you some constructive criticism. If you're messing up in school, I'd hope that your teacher would try to help you. So I'm a little confused as to why people can't keep that same energy when it comes to the bad decisions that some people make in life, which could ultimately put them in harm's way. Why wouldn't an activist be inclined to help another person better themselves? That's a rhetorical question, by the way, because Booker T already answered that for us. Okay, so now that we talked about the media, let's talk about the activists. And just to be clear, I believe there are two types. Activists...
Before we move on from that, like she was saying, it's not bad to ask for help. But it's just looking for a handout every single time. Like, that's just ridiculous. People, like, we as people, we look at things as if we're not getting something from somebody, we can't get it ourselves.
Yeah, I don't like be knowing what you're asking for. Like what are you asking for? Like people keep bringing out reparations. Like reparations, it's a little late for reparations.
But they're not. I don't think
it's not going over 1,000. It's never happening. It was never, ever. They will apologize to the Indian population first before they give anybody reparations.
That legitimately want to do good in the world but may be ill-informed on a topic, and then of course the activists who exploit racial and ethnic tensions to gain a higher social status or line their pockets, which is interesting because I've been accused of saying what I'm saying just for the sake of making a buck, while the same assertion can't be considered for those who make a living off of victimizing Black people. At this point, you should know that I'm not a fan of Black Lives Matter for several reasons. One criticism that I had for this organization is that their donations are processed through Act Blue, a democratic fundraising platform, which is weird to me because I thought the topic of discussion was racial injustice, which isn't specific to one political party. So if it isn't a political movement, then I can't help but wonder why they wouldn't use something like GoFundMe, for example. To take it a step further, Where's the money? Has any black person in America seen a single cent from Black Lives Matter? Nope, not you, Sir Major Page. Although you'd make a great poster child for a race hustler, I'm actually not talking about the Atlanta chapter of BLM. I'm talking about BLM Incorporated, the organization that spearheaded massive global protests. Where are those donations that Black America so desperately needs in the middle of a pandemic? While you're thinking about it, here's another quote from history. In his book, Color, Communism, and Common Sense, Manning Johnson describes his experience after abandoning the communist movement and explains how communists use certain blacks to achieve their ends. He says,
that's how they introduced it. They introduced it in colleges and shit. That's why I'm afraid of a lot of these people going to colleges. Y'all just getting brainwashed with this nonsense. These communists just filling your heads up with all these different identities and identity politics. Because that's how they did it in the 70s and stuff. Like, they knew they couldn't infiltrate like main American society, so they was like, let's get the young kids. Let's get the guys who's gonna grow up and want to be like, oh, let's bring down the system, bring down the government, and then what? Okay, you tore down the United States, and guess what? What? It's like y'all not gonna appreciate the U.S. until it's gone. I used to talk to these at work. You'd be like, oh, but can you imagine destroying the Capitol? Like, no, I can't imagine that. What's wrong with y'all?
Yeah, y'all don't understand how good we have it in the United States. Yeah, there's bad neighborhoods.
You can cuss out the president.
You can cuss it, Brian. You cuss about any president anywhere else, you're probably.
Bro, you go to Russia.
They're not gonna see you that night.
Yeah, go to Russia and talk about Putin ain't really my kind of leader, man. You gotta go. You ain't gonna be at work tomorrow. What's up? What's Rusev? It's like Rusev is gone.
Like the Communist Party, the NAACP has collected millions of dollars through the exploitation of race issues. The bigger the race issue, the bigger the appeal, and the bigger the contributions. Yet one cannot find any report of any of this money being spent on jobs, specialized training, or combating crime. It is no accident that the NAACP is dubbed the National Association for Agitation of Colored People. The record speaks for itself: millions for agitation, and not 1 cent for those things that win the respect and acclaim of other races and national groups. Did you find the money yet? No? Okay, while you're thinking about that, consider this. Why is it that prominent activists such as Al Sharpton, for example, seem to get richer and richer while the same people they advocate for are still broke, even years after activism? Does that not go through anyone's mind? Or how about the black multi-million-dollar celebrities who regurgitate the notion of victimhood and oppression to their fans? We're being hunted in the streets, says LeBron James as he types from his mansion that's specifically not located in the hood. Finally, let's talk about Black history and why I consider it to be selective Black history. As I mentioned in this video, Booker T. Washington and Manning Johnson are, in my opinion, pretty significant figures that should be talked about more often. If I had to add a few more names to that list, I'd also include the likes of Walter Williams and Tom Sowell. So in terms of Black history, why is it that these names get passed up, while topics relating to the atrocities of Black slavery, Jim Crow, and racial injustice seem to be the focal point? Why do historical figures who believe in self-fulfillment or reject the idea of victimhood get little to no attention? I already know the answer to this, but you know what? Here's what Walter Williams had to say. The most damage done to Black Americans is inflicted by those politicians, civil rights leaders, and academics who assert that every problem confronting blacks is a result of a legacy of slavery and discrimination. That's a vision that guarantees perpetuity for the problems. While we're at it, let's hear what Tom Sowell has to say. Racism is not dead, but it is on life support, kept alive by politicians, race hustlers, and people who get a sense of superiority by denouncing others as racists. And that's pretty much the end of this video, but before I go, I do want to bring up one more point to drive this topic home. Going back to the media's selective and inconsistent news coverage, I'm curious, how many of you have heard about Victoria Rose Smith? Anyone? Well, Victoria was a white 3-year-old girl who was beaten to death by her black adopted parents. Victoria's death came only a few weeks after her adopted mother said this on Twitter: In my house, my black children get treated the same way as my white children, and my white children get treated the same way as my black children. It's a shame that when they go out into the real world, that won't be the case. Hashtag white privilege, hashtag Black Lives Matter. I don't think it's a mystery as to why the news overlords have picked up on this story. And if I may add, this example shows the stark contrast of those who promote hate and division under the guise of activism. Is this the part where we use the hashtag say her name, or is that reserved just for black people? If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content like this.
That's looking more random.
Well, she was talking about in the beginning that the white cases from cops don't get looked at either. But
yo, that had nothing. That wasn't the cops. That was two nuts beating a kid to death. Man, that's just
yeah.
Forget race. How do you beat a kid to death? Like, that's just horrible. Look at them. You see how the way they look? They look like they work at a pizza joint or something. Like, it look like that's all they do is order pizza. Like, he never cook food.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but
yeah, she had some good insights.
Definitely, yeah.
Some really good insights that people just need to look at it and absorb and like look.
Because they just take it face front from the news, like, oh god, it's got to be true. Like, no, y'all don't want to try to dive any deeper. That's why I'm so happy I went to the school I went to, because they taught us to delve deeper into the media, because the media is...
The internet's not always right.
Yeah, and plus it's controlled by different perspectives, and these people have different agendas.
People don't understand. People are able to pay to change shit on the internet all the time.
Especially since you got your data all the time. They know more about you than you know about yourself. So they already can predict what you're finna do in the future just by the stuff they know that you're doing on your phone.
That's why you see all these things when it said all these ads and stuff you want and stuff you'd seen before, stuff you clicked on. It's all a game.
Yeah.
It's all a money game. But if you like this reaction, let us know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Yep. Road to 10K. I'll see you next time.
Peace.